In the sprawling provinces of northeastern China, across the dense forests and industrial cities, a man named Wang Xiaolong became a legend feared by many, a special forces soldier turned cold-blooded killer who left a trail of chaos across 34 provinces. For years, his name struck terror in the hearts of those who dared cross him. After an intense manhunt spanning days and nights, law enforcement finally cornered Wang deep in the wild expanses of the Daxing'an Mountains, a place as unforgiving as the man himself. Exhausted but unyielding, he was captured, the end of a violent saga seemingly within reach. But the story that followed was not one of simple justice. In a secure prison at the heart of Dalian City, the execution was set. At exactly 3 in the afternoon on July 27, 2003, Wang was pronounced dead, shot by firing squad under the cold gaze of the law. Yet whispers began to circulate immediately after the execution. Something was off. A strange discrepancy noticed by the guards. The man shot and pronounced dead bore an uncanny resemblance to Wang, but was he truly him? This unsettling doubt planted the seed of an extraordinary mystery. In a society where the law is expected to be absolute, the notion that a prisoner, especially one as notorious as Wang, could be replaced by another before execution was nearly unthinkable. Yet evidence began to emerge suggesting exactly that, a meticulously orchestrated deception. On closer examination, a peculiar detail surfaced: a deep, snake-like scar on Wang's right hand, known to his captors and colleagues alike, was absent from the corpse. How could such a distinguishing mark disappear? Was the executed man truly Wang Xiaolong? Forensics experts began a thorough investigation: DNA tests, scar analysis, and cross-referencing records. What they uncovered challenged the foundation of the entire case, shaking the confidence in the justice system and exposing the fragility of truth in a world shadowed by secrecy. The implications were staggering. A man had died in Wang's place, a decoy. Who was this man? What had compelled someone to volunteer, or be forced, to take Wang's place in death? And how had this elaborate ruse been hidden from authorities for so long? This was not merely a tale of crime and punishment, but a complex web of deception woven deep inside one of China's most secure prisons, the Namling prison. It begged a haunting question: how could a man as dangerous and resourceful as Wang escape the clutches of a fortress designed to hold the worst? Prisons are often described as impregnable. But what happens when the fortress itself becomes a stage for betrayal? When shadows move not just outside the walls, but within? This case hinted at a mole, an inside conspirator who defied the most stringent security protocols. The name Wang Xiaolong was more than a criminal label. It was a symbol of fear, of power, and ruthlessness honed by years of military training as a special forces soldier. His escape, real or imagined, challenged not just law enforcement but the very order of society. Behind the headlines and police reports lay a story of human will, manipulation, and secrets buried beneath layers of steel and concrete. The public remained unaware of the true scale of this conspiracy, a plot so audacious it blurred the lines between reality and fiction. As investigators dug deeper, the stakes rose higher. Was Wang truly gone? Or was this a calculated gambit allowing the world's deadliest fugitive to walk free once more? The answer held implications far beyond a single case. It threatened to unravel trust in institutions designed to protect society. And so the story begins, with shadows cast over truth and justice, and a man who might still be lurking in the shadows. A man whose escape from death itself was the first act in a larger, darker drama unfolding in the heart of China. The question remains, how could a prisoner escape the most secure prison in China? And who masterminded the deadly deception of a false execution? The answers lie ahead, in the tangled web of lies, betrayal, and survival that we are about to unravel. Following the execution, suspicion rippled through the investigative team. Forensic experts noticed an inconsistency that would unravel the entire official narrative. The man shot was missing Wang Xiaolong's signature scar, a grotesque mark long etched into his right hand. Such a scar was no ordinary birthmark, it was a scar Wang earned in his violent past, a permanent testament to his brutal encounters. Its absence could not be dismissed as coincidence. The initial shock grew into urgent alarm. Had a grave mistake been made? DNA analysis followed. Samples taken from the corpse and compared with known records of Wang Xiaolong revealed a stark truth. The executed man was an imposter, not the infamous fugitive. This discovery sent shockwaves through the police force and government officials alike. How could such an error, or conspiracy, occur? The possibility of an inside job became undeniable. But what drove this deception? Was it coercion, desperation, or cold calculation? The psychological motives behind such a substitution reveal layers of human complexity seldom spoken aloud. From a psychological perspective, such an act speaks volumes about loyalty, fear, and manipulation within the prison system. The man who died in Wang's stead, was he a pawn, a volunteer, or a victim trapped in a desperate gambit? Understanding this requires us to explore the dark recesses of human psychology and social dynamics behind bars. Wang Xiaolong himself, a man forged in the fires of military discipline and hardened by trauma, embodies a psychological profile of extremity, a blend of cold calculation and raw survival instinct. His escape from death, whether literal or symbolic, reveals a mind capable of manipulation far beyond brute force. Criminal psychologists emphasize that individuals like Wang often operate under a complex interplay of power, fear, and control. The substitution of a corpse is not just a practical ploy but a psychological statement, a final act of defiance against a system that sought to extinguish him. In reviewing similar cases worldwide, the substitution of prisoners before execution, though rare, has occurred, reflecting desperation within systems riddled by corruption, human error, or covert agendas. Such acts tear at the moral fabric of justice and erode public trust profoundly. The consequences of this revelation were immense, a miscarriage of justice so severe it called into question the integrity of the entire penal system. For the families involved, the public, and law enforcement, it was a blow that echoed far beyond the prison walls. Beyond procedural failure, this incident highlights a dangerous undercurrent, the psychological warfare waged within prisons, where loyalty can be bought or coerced, and identity itself can become a weapon in survival's cruel game. As we dissect the psychology behind these moves, we confront unsettling truths about trust and betrayal. Who benefits from such deception? Is it the criminal network inside or outside the prison? Or corrupt officials who hide behind layers of bureaucracy? The manipulation of identity, a human's most intrinsic truth, is the ultimate violation. It threatens not only the victim but shakes society's very confidence in law, justice, and accountability. This dark chapter compels us to question how easily systems can be subverted from within. Yet amid this darkness, forensic science emerged as a beacon of truth, piercing through layers of deception. The relentless pursuit of evidence, the painstaking comparisons of scars and DNA, stood as a testament to human determination against obfuscation. From a personal viewpoint, this case exposes the human cost of systemic failure, where one man's freedom or death can be bartered, concealed, or sacrificed. It challenges us to reflect on the fragility of justice and the ethical duty to safeguard it fiercely. Moreover, it demands a re-evaluation of how we view punishment and redemption. Are we truly delivering justice, or merely performing rituals that mask deeper corruption? The implications resonate in every corner of society, echoing a call for reform. Cases like this remind us that the greatest enemy of justice is not merely the criminal but the erosion of transparency, accountability, and human dignity within the institutions meant to uphold them. And so, as the truth began to surface, the authorities faced a grim reality: the execution had been a carefully staged charade. This revelation was only the beginning, exposing a deeper conspiracy waiting to be unearthed. The question that now haunted everyone was clear: if the executed was not Wang Xiaolong, where was the real Wang? How had this master of deception slipped through the tightest grip of Chinese law enforcement? The unraveling mystery set the stage for a high-stakes manhunt, a battle not only against a fugitive but against the shadows lurking within the prison walls and beyond. How do you catch a man who has seemingly vanished into thin air? The answer lay buried in the darkest corners of human psyche and the cold calculus of survival, a puzzle we were only beginning to solve. The revelation that Wang Xiaolong had escaped ignited a firestorm of questions. How could a man condemned and confined within one of China's most secure prisons vanish without a trace? The answer lay hidden beneath layers of earth and human deceit, a secret tunnel meticulously crafted to perfection. Constructed with the precision and patience of a master artisan, the tunnel stretched deep beneath the prison grounds, connecting to a seemingly innocuous building in the nearby town. This was no ordinary escape route, it was the product of careful planning, relentless labor, and crucially, inside help. The prison, known as Namlin, was equipped with state-of-the-art security, biometric scanners, reinforced steel doors, 24-hour surveillance, and armed guards at every checkpoint. Any escape would be deemed impossible without collusion. And yet, the tunnel was dug, a shadow beneath the fortress walls. This dichotomy between technological might and human vulnerability is a chilling reminder: even the most sophisticated systems falter when trust is betrayed. Within the prison's ranks lurked the essential accomplice, the insider who wielded access and authority. This individual, whether driven by fear, greed, or ideology, became the key that unlocked the gate for Wang Xiaolong's escape. The role of such insiders cannot be overstated. Psychology teaches us that individuals in high-pressure, hierarchical institutions may develop conflicted loyalties, torn between duty and personal survival, susceptible to manipulation or coercion. In this case, the insider's participation transformed an impregnable prison into a fragile labyrinth. It also underscores a critical failure in internal oversight, a blind spot exploited by those willing to subvert the system from within. The story of Wang Xiaolong's escape is reminiscent of the infamous Alcatraz breakout in 1962, where prisoners dug a tunnel using spoons and ingenuity, exploiting the island prison's vulnerabilities. While the scale and context differ, the essence remains: human will against institutional might. Alcatraz's lessons echoed here: no fortress is impregnable, especially when insiders assist the defiance. Wang Xiaolong's plan was a perfect storm of opportunity, trust betrayed, and cold calculation. But why risk so much? Why orchestrate such an elaborate escape rather than face justice? For Wang, the answer lay deep in his psyche: an unyielding desire for freedom, power, and perhaps vengeance. From a psychological lens, Wang's profile aligns with traits common in high-risk offenders: intelligence, resourcefulness, and a profound rejection of authority. His military background fueled his belief in self-reliance and tactical thinking, making the idea of captivity intolerable. This determination evolved into obsession, a relentless focus on freedom at any cost. The tunnel became both a literal and symbolic passage out of confinement, a manifestation of his refusal to be broken. Yet, such an escape is never the act of one man alone. Wang's collaborators, a network inside and outside the prison, orchestrated logistics, smuggled tools, and coordinated timing. Their motivations varied but converged on a single goal: defying the state's grip. This criminal network's psychology is equally complex, bound by shared histories, fear, and mutual benefit. It reflects the human tendency to form coalitions in adversity, even if those coalitions undermine societal order. From a law enforcement perspective, such networks present formidable challenges. Detecting insider threats requires not only surveillance but a deep understanding of organizational behavior and human vulnerabilities. The failure to detect the tunnel and insider collusion speaks to systemic issues: gaps in vetting, monitoring, and perhaps even corruption. It calls for reforms emphasizing psychological screening and ongoing oversight of prison staff. Reflecting personally, this saga compels us to question the balance between security and humanity within correctional systems. Overly rigid structures can breed resentment and secrecy, yet laxity invites chaos and betrayal. The story of Wang Xiaolong's escape is a somber reminder that within the shadows of concrete walls, human ambition and frailty intertwine in ways that challenge even the most formidable institutions. As authorities scrambled to seal the breach and hunt the fugitive, the question remained: how deep did the conspiracy run? And could the prison ever reclaim its integrity? Next, we delve deeper into the web of accomplices, the childhood friends and comrades who stood behind Wang Xiaolong, each with their own story of tragedy and trauma, fueling a collective descent into darkness. Behind Wang Xiaolong's calculated escape lay not just a man, but a brotherhood forged in shared pain and hardship. His closest allies were childhood friends, comrades from the orphanage and military, bound by more than loyalty, but by scars that shaped their souls. The origins of this dark fraternity trace back to the tragic village of Shangyuan in Bingguo County, a place marred by catastrophe and loss. Here, the seeds of bitterness and vengeance took root amidst the ruins of a community shattered by a devastating epidemic. In 1995, the village was struck by a mysterious viral outbreak, a biological disaster with symptoms both terrifying and swift. Families were torn apart, bodies piled high. The villagers' world was extinguished in mere weeks, leaving orphaned children wandering through ashes of their past. Wang Xiaolong and his closest friends, including Zhang Sihai and Wu Wenchuo, survived the calamity but lost everything: parents, homes, childhood innocence. The orphanages they entered became crucibles where trauma mingled with neglect and harsh discipline. Psychologists have long studied the devastating effects of such trauma. Early childhood loss combined with institutional upbringing can distort attachment, breed distrust, and foment a simmering rage, a potent cocktail for future antisocial behavior. For Wang and his comrades, the trauma hardened into a resolve: survival at all costs, a refusal to be victimized by the world again. Their bond became both shield and sword, binding them into a shadowy brotherhood with its own codes and loyalties. Military service further deepened their connections. Together, they entered the ranks of the elite special forces, trained in demolition, stealth, and guerrilla tactics. The orphaned boys transformed into hardened soldiers, but their dark pasts never faded. The skills gained in the military were double-edged. While meant for protection and service, in their hands they became tools of calculated violence, used not for honor but for the pursuit of their own agendas, fueled by revenge and bitterness. Psychologically, the transformation from traumatized child to lethal soldier is complex. Studies show that unresolved trauma can manifest as hypervigilance, aggression, and impaired empathy, traits that, unchecked, lead to dangerous outcomes. Their shared history and experiences created a potent sense of us versus them, a worldview in which the world was hostile, and violence was a justified form of survival and power reclamation. This toxic camaraderie fostered a collective identity as outlaws and avengers, bound by a tragic past and a shared desire to overturn the injustices they perceived. From a criminological perspective, such groups represent a high-risk cluster, where trauma bonds and military training combine to create a sophisticated, dangerous network capable of coordinated crime and evasion. Their unity was not merely emotional but strategic. Each brought unique skills. Wang was the sniper, Zhang, the tunnel engineer, Wu, the logistics planner, and the fourth, a shadow operative skilled in infiltration. Such specialization made them a formidable foe, capable of executing complex operations such as the meticulously planned prison escape. Reflecting on their story, we see how early adversity can catalyze a descent into criminality when combined with social neglect and lack of rehabilitative support. It raises critical questions about prevention and intervention in vulnerable populations. In communities around the world, similar patterns emerge. Children scarred by loss and hardship who, without guidance and care, fall into cycles of violence and crime. Wang Xiaolong's network is a stark testament to this reality. Society must learn from these tragedies. Beyond punishment lies the imperative to heal, through education, mental health support, and social programs aimed at breaking the chains of trauma before they forge criminals. As we peer into the darkness of Wang Xiaolong's brotherhood, we are reminded that the roots of crime often run deep, intertwined with pain and neglect. Understanding this complexity is the first step toward lasting change. Next, we follow the relentless pursuit, the fierce struggle between law enforcement and this shadowy group, as the city of Dalian braces itself for a confrontation that will test the limits of justice and order. The manhunt for Wang Xiaolong and his comrades unfolded like a high-stakes chess game, a deadly pursuit across 3 provinces involving nearly 1,000 armed officers, racing against time to stop a group both cunning and desperate. From Heilongjiang to Liaoning and Jilin, the operation was unprecedented in scale, a coordinated effort combining ground patrols, aerial reconnaissance, and forensic intelligence in a massive net designed to squeeze the fugitives. The complexity of the case was amplified by political pressure. The provincial authorities demanded swift resolution, fearing social unrest and national embarrassment if the escapees continued to roam free. Within the police force, leadership was both a beacon and a burden. Captain Quan Shayan, tasked with leading the investigation, faced the dual challenges of managing a sprawling manhunt and navigating the intense political scrutiny. The stakes were clear. Failure meant not just lost lives but a blow to public trust in law enforcement's ability to maintain order against escalating criminal sophistication. Strategically, the team divided the search into zones, deploying specialized units trained in forest operations, urban tracking, and rapid intervention, ensuring every potential hideout was combed with ruthless precision. Technology played a pivotal role. Satellite imagery, intercepted communications, and surveillance drones combined to form a digital web that aimed to outsmart the fugitives' attempts at evasion. Yet, the fugitives' military training proved formidable. Wang's group anticipated standard police tactics, utilizing stealth, decoys, and complex knowledge of the rugged terrain to evade capture repeatedly. Amidst the chase, internal tensions surfaced. Some officers questioned the scope and cost of the operation, while others pushed for harsher measures, revealing the moral and ethical tightrope walked by the task force. Parallel to field operations, forensics and intelligence units worked feverishly, piecing together clues from the prison break, gathering testimonies, and decoding intercepted messages that hinted at the fugitives' next moves. Captain Quan understood that the key to success lay not only in manpower but in outthinking a group raised by trauma and honed by combat. Flexibility and psychological insight became as vital as firepower. This was a battle of minds as much as muscles, a test of endurance, strategy, and resolve between men shaped by very different worlds and experiences. Social dynamics complicated the hunt. Fear and rumor spread through the local population, sometimes hindering investigations, but also at times spurring citizen cooperation through anonymous tips and community vigilance. Politically, the province's leadership maintained a delicate balance, publicly expressing confidence while quietly demanding quick results behind closed doors, underscoring the high-profile nature of the case. In reflecting on this complex manhunt, it becomes clear how intertwined law enforcement, politics, and social trust are when confronting sophisticated criminal networks born from systemic failures. The pursuit of Wang Xiaolong was more than a chase, it was a confrontation with the shadows left by societal neglect, a race against time to reclaim safety and order before tragedy struck again. As the hunt pressed on, every moment counted, and every decision carried weight. The fate of the city, and indeed the nation's faith in justice, hung precariously in the balance. Will this relentless pursuit be enough to end Wang Xiaolong's reign of terror? Or will his cunning and the ghosts of his past prove too elusive for even the best trained officers? The tense atmosphere at the International Biological Technology Conference in Dalian was shattered in an instant, a precise sniper shot fired, cutting through the calm and striking a high-ranking Japanese official down in front of stunned delegates. Wang Xiaolong, once a ruthless special forces sniper, now wielded his deadly skills in a final, desperate act, targeting Takashi Kikuchi, a senior Japanese minister and symbol of past wartime grievances. The shot was flawless, a deadly mix of calculation, nerve, and experience, the bullet penetrating the reinforced glass and striking Kikuchi directly in the forehead, ending his life within seconds. But the sniper's mission would not go unanswered. Captain Quan Shayan, present at the scene and responsible for security, reacted instantly, his own shot aimed with lethal precision at Wang Xiaolong. In a deadly exchange, bullets tore through the tense air. Wang Xiaolong was struck in the head, collapsing with a grimace of defeat, his reign of terror abruptly ended by the very forces pursuing him. This confrontation between two marksmen was more than a gunfight, it was a symbolic battle of wills, representing the struggle between law, justice, and the destructive legacies of past conflicts. Wang's skills were honed in the crucible of war and trauma, but even such expertise could not secure his escape from justice, nor silence the consequences of his violent choices. The assassination sent shockwaves internationally, exposing not only the personal vendettas but also the tangled web of historical grievances fueling this deadly plot. Similar political assassinations throughout history have reshaped nations, from the killing of Archduke Franz Ferdinand to the JFK assassination, reminding us how individual acts of violence can ripple through global politics. In Wang's case, the convergence of personal trauma, military training, and nationalistic fervor created a lethal storm, one that culminated in this tragic, explosive moment. Captain Kwan's swift action underscored the importance of vigilance and readiness, the thin line separating order from chaos in moments of crisis. Reflecting on this violent climax, one is reminded that even the most meticulously planned acts of terror can unravel in a heartbeat. Justice, while sometimes delayed, ultimately prevails. The story of Wang Xiaolong's end also brings to light the personal cost for all involved, officers risking everything, families shattered, and a society forced to confront the shadows within. As history continues to record, moments like this become cautionary tales, stark reminders of how unresolved pain and vengeance can escalate beyond control. The death of Wang Xiaolong closed one chapter, but the lessons remain vivid: the need for societal healing, security reform, and vigilance against cycles of violence. In the wake of tragedy, it is the duty of every citizen and authority to ensure that such darkness does not return, that justice, compassion, and progress light the path forward. What echoes from this fateful day is not just a story of violence, but a call to break free from hatred's grip, fostering understanding where once only division thrived. As the dust settles over Dalian, questions remain: how do we heal a society scarred by trauma and violence? And what measures will truly safeguard our future? As we reflect on the harrowing saga of Wang Xiaolong, we recognize the profound complexity behind such cases, where personal trauma, historical wounds, and systemic vulnerabilities intertwine in dangerous ways. This story reminds us that law enforcement alone cannot eradicate violence. A holistic approach involving mental health, community support, and social education is vital for prevention. Ensuring the integrity of our justice system is paramount. Mistakes such as wrongful executions or security lapses have irreversible consequences, demanding continual vigilance and reform. Equally important is the commitment to transparency and accountability within our institutions, building public trust and reinforcing the social contract. On a personal level, Wang Xiaolong's life highlights the lasting impact of childhood trauma and loss, urging society to invest in early interventions to break cycles of violence. Looking forward, technology and interagency cooperation can enhance security, but human compassion and understanding remain the foundation of true progress. This case also underscores the importance of community awareness. When citizens are informed and engaged, dangerous plans are less likely to succeed. As viewers and members of society, we each hold a responsibility to foster environments where healing and justice can coexist. Let this story be a catalyst, inspiring efforts to reform prison systems, enhance mental health care, and promote peace through understanding. Thank you for journeying through this complex case with us. Your awareness and voice can be a powerful force in breaking cycles of violence and mistrust. If this story moved you, please like and share it with others. Spreading understanding is the first step towards meaningful change. Subscribe to our channel to join a community dedicated to uncovering stories that matter, stories that challenge us, heal us, and inspire us to be better. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your voice enriches this conversation and helps us all grow. Together, we can build a future where justice is fair, safety is assured, and compassion leads the way. Thank you once again for watching. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and stay safe.